And I also believe that history will record that this week was the beginning of the end of the coronavirus pandemic. But with cases rising across the country, with hospitalizations rising across the country, we have a ways to go.
Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Friday, December 18th, 2020. Welcome to day 1429. Congress plans to try and pass a 2-day government funding extension in order to avoid a government shutdown after midnight, as lawmakers struggle to finalize a $900 billion coronavirus relief package. The relief proposal is expected to include $600 direct payments to American families and children, just half the amount of the stimulus checks that were issued last spring. It also includes $325 billion for small businesses and $300 in enhanced weekly unemployment benefits, along with billions of dollars for small businesses, vaccine distribution, and schools. White House aides reportedly intervened in order to talk Trump out of calling for at least $1,200 in stimulus payments per person. Instead, Trump said that stimulus talks are looking very good. Meanwhile, Democrats accused Republicans of trying to sabotage Joe Biden's ability to lead an economic recovery after he takes office by cutting off the Federal Reserve's emergency lending powers created by the CARES Act to protect the economy. Biden's team of medical advisors, meanwhile, warned that getting the coronavirus vaccine to every American could take up to 6 months or longer. One physician close to the transition process speculated that it might not be available until late summer or early fall 2021. One physician close to the transition speculated that it might not be until late summer or early fall 2021 before the vaccine begins to become widely available to the general public. Trump administration officials, however, have promised that the general public will start getting the vaccine in late February. The U.S. has ordered enough doses of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine to inoculate 150 million people. Moving on, the suspected Russian hacking campaign hit more than 40 organizations in the United States, Belgium, Canada, Israel, Mexico, Spain, the UAE, and the United Kingdom. In the U.S., hackers with ties to the Russian government penetrated several federal agencies, including the Departments of Homeland Security, Treasury, Commerce, and State, as well as the Nuclear Weapons Agency and at least 3 U.S. states. The hacks began at least as early as March, but were only discovered last week. Joe Biden warned that his administration would impose substantial costs on those responsible, adding, quote, "We need to disrupt and deter our adversaries from undertaking significant cyber attacks in the first place," end quote. Trump has yet to publicly acknowledge the hack, which the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has called a, quote, "grave risk to the federal government," end quote. Meanwhile, Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller ordered a Pentagon-wide halt to briefing the Biden transition team, calling it a holiday pause. While Miller said the halt in cooperation was, quote, "mutually agreed upon," end quote, a Biden spokesman said there was no mutually agreed upon holiday break and that the move reflected isolated resistance from political appointees. The Biden administration, meanwhile, plans to nominate Representative Deborah Haaland to lead the Department of the Interior and Michael Regan to lead the EPA. If confirmed, Haaland would become the first Native American to serve as a cabinet secretary, and Regan would be the first black man to head the EPA. Moving on, the Supreme Court dismissed a lawsuit against the Trump administration's plans to exclude undocumented immigrants from the final census count. The unsigned opinion said it would be premature to rule on the case because it is riddled with contingencies and speculation, and that the Trump administration doesn't know how many undocumented immigrants there are or where they live. It's not clear, however, if Trump will receive final numbers from the Census Bureau before he leaves office next month. The census is used to determine how many members of Congress each state gets in the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign spent more than $700 million since 2019 through a shell company that Jared Kushner helped create. American-made media consultants helped Trump's campaign dodge federally mandated disclosures while also paying some of Trump's top advisors and family members. Lara Trump, along with Mike Pence's nephew John Pence and Trump campaign chief financial officer Sean Dolman, all served on the shell company's board. When Trump leaves the White House as a private citizen next month, he'll have more than $60 million waiting for him in his new Save America PAC, roughly as much money as he spent to win the presidential nomination in 2016. And finally, Trump reportedly plans to issue several pardons for his friends and allies today. While it's still unclear who will be included, Trump has considered a pardon for his former campaign manager Paul Manafort and for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, as well as preemptive pardons for his family members. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefuckjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.